You ever have that feeling like you're living your life for someone else? Kind of like you're following a script that you didn't even write, all for that little nod of approval or a round of applause. It's a feeling so many of us know all too well. Today, we're going to explore this deep human need for validation, where it comes from, how it holds us back, and most importantly, how we can actually begin to break free and build a life that is truly, authentically ours. Okay, let's dive in.
Researcher Brené Brown just captures this feeling perfectly, doesn't she? That exact moment when you're standing in your own truth, there's no backup, and you're just wondering, am I making the biggest mistake of my life? This feeling, this is at the very heart of our journey today. It's the journey from seeking approval to finding that courage deep inside ourselves. So let's start by really understanding the problem. Seeking approval, it can feel like being trapped in an invisible cage. And the bars of that cage, they're made of other people's opinions and expectations. It keeps us small, it keeps us safe, but it also keeps us disconnected from who we really are. And this right here, this is the core conflict. On one side, you have internal validation, that quiet, steady sense of worth that comes from within. But on the other, there's external validation, where we're relying on others to tell us that we're okay. Look, a little external validation is normal. We're human. But when we become dependent on it, our self-esteem becomes so fragile, it just rises and falls with every single compliment or criticism that comes our way.
So, how does this dependency actually show up in our day-to-day lives? Let's take a look at some common signs. And as we go through them, just kind of notice if any of these patterns feel a little too familiar.
Do you find yourself constantly asking, are you sure this is okay? Or needing that positive feedback before you can feel good about a choice? Maybe you get lost scrolling social media, where the number of likes literally determines your mood for the day. Or, hey, maybe you're a classic people pleaser, always saying yes when you're screaming no on the inside, all just to avoid any conflict. These aren't character flaws, not at all. They're just common signs that you might be caught in that validation trap. To really break free, we have to understand where this need even comes from in the first place. And this isn't about blaming anyone, it's about finding compassion for ourselves by understanding the why behind these behaviors.
So here's the crucial thing to remember. This intense need for approval isn't something you were born with. It's a pattern, it's a coping mechanism that you very likely learned when you were young. As kids, we depend on validation from adults to learn how to behave and to feel safe. But sometimes, that dynamic gets a little unbalanced.
And this shows so brilliantly how it's all about balance. According to Psych Central, if you grew up feeling kind of invisible with not enough encouragement, you might now struggle with this deep, deep fear of rejection. But the opposite is also true. If you got excessive, unearned praise all the time, you might become an adult who constantly needs validation to feel important. See? Both paths can lead to the same place, an inability to validate yourself.
Wow. This insight from a Reddit user just gets right to the heart of it with such raw clarity. Sometimes we learn to reject ourselves first, to give up our own power, our own decision-making, as a way to avoid the shame of not being good enough for others. It becomes a survival strategy. You learn to seek approval, to feel safe, to feel like you belong.
Okay, so we've looked at the what and the why. Now for the most important part, the how. Let's start walking that path to freedom. We're going to go through 4 really powerful mindset shifts that can help you build your own inner compass and start validating yourself from the inside out. All right, the first shift comes from Adlerian psychology, and it's a huge idea in the book The Courage to be Disliked. It's called the separation of tasks. The idea is simple, but honestly, it's revolutionary. You are only responsible for your tasks, your choices, your efforts, your feelings. You are not responsible for other people's tasks, and that includes how they feel about you or react to you. Your task is to live your life. Their task is to decide how they feel about it. This one separation creates an incredible amount of freedom.
Our second shift comes to us from the ancient Stoics. They called it the dichotomy of control. It's all about clearly dividing the world into 2 simple categories: things you can control and things you can't. You can control your effort, your integrity, your attitude, but you absolutely cannot control the outcome or what other people think of you. Real peace comes when you attach your happiness to your effort, the part you can control, not to the results you can't guarantee. Now, these mindset shifts need practical habits to actually take root. So you can start small. Just acknowledge your feelings without judging them. Instead of looking for someone to say, it's okay to feel sad, tell yourself that it's okay. Use affirmations like, I'm enough, not as some magic trick, but as a way to literally retrain your inner voice. And practice saying no to small things. just to build up that muscle for the bigger ones. These small acts, they build a real foundation of self-trust.
And that leads us right into our fourth and final mindset shift, and it's captured perfectly by this quote from Brené Brown. Setting boundaries isn't about being difficult or selfish. It is the ultimate act of self-respect. It's you deciding that your inner peace is not up for negotiation. Period. You know, when you start making these shifts, something really profound starts to happen. You stop looking outside yourself for a map, and you start listening to the compass that's always been within you. You begin to build a life that feels less like a performance and more like a true expression of who you really are.
We often think of courage as this big, heroic, loud thing, right? A grand gesture that everyone can see and admire. But the courage to live authentically, well, it's usually so much quieter than that.
It's found in those small moments when no one else is watching. It's that private conversation you have with yourself after a long, hard day of just trying to stay true to your values.
This is the real work. It's the unglamorous, messy, beautiful persistence of simply showing up for yourself again and again and again. That quiet commitment, that's what builds an unshakable inner compass. This quote from The Courage to be Disliked is just the perfect summary of this whole journey. When you stop making everyone else's approval your main goal, you finally gain the freedom to actually be happy. And your relationships change, not because other people change, but because you do. You show up as your real self, and that invites real, genuine connection.
And this is the ultimate takeaway. The applause will fade. People will come and go. But if you can become someone that you can count on, someone who stays loyal to your own truth, you will never, ever be truly alone. You're creating a life that is deeply, undeniably yours. If any of this resonated with you today, I want to personally invite you to subscribe to Rise Standard. We're really committed to sharing more insights just like this to help you build a life that's grounded in self-worth and understanding. And finally, a question for your own reflection. In what area of your life, maybe it's your career, your relationships, your creativity, do you find yourself seeking the most approval? And why do you think that is? Sharing your experience in the comments can be such a powerful step, not for validation, but for connection. Thanks so much for being here.